a drone accident, a lot of fun, and some blood. It's the Brewmance. How you doing? My name is Rob Hunter, joined by Mike Russell. We are also known as Russell and Hunter on 550 KFYI. Thank you for being a part of the Brewmance because we really are building community. That's what we want because, Mike, I think we kind of agree. We're a little tense right now in America. So let's crack open a beer, have conversations, and get together. Speaking of, what are we drinking this week?
This is from my man Coner. His name's Connor, but it's spelled Coner. So we call him Coner because, that's how you spell Coner. He brought me a bunch of cool beers for Christmas. So I'm going to roll through these things over the next few weeks. This is Alesmith Brewing Company, Oh So Under West Coast IPA.
I like it. Sounds pretty good. I have a different beer because we are doing the same thing, Operation Clean Out Rob's beer fridge, because there's a lot of beer in there. So this was a stocking stuffer from Santa Claus, Dogfish Head's Slightly Mighty Low-Cal IPA. It's something we've tried before, and I'm not sure if it was a hint from Mr. Claus that Rob needs to drink lower calorie beer. So we're just going to go with it and see how it goes.
Okay. A doctor friend of ours, now my new doctor friend, is suggesting a little lower calorie or less volume as well. So hopefully we can get her on the podcast. That'd be interesting, talking about hormones and wellness.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to try to make that happen. So, especially because now we share a doctor. So it's like Russell and Hunter. This is what we do. We've been friends for 14 years or so. I've been in Arizona 15 years. I think Mike and I met in 2008. And we've just kind of worked. We've done this dance, right? We created the Brewmance, 5 years ago. Now we have an afternoon radio show. But it was like easy because we like to hang out. We're basically Mike's my big brother. That's how I look at this.
The big brother you never wanted. Yeah.
But now that I have. And my big brother got a drone for Christmas.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we decided we're going to go do some 2022 goal setting. So we're going to hang out, do a couple of hours of work, fly some drones, drink some beers. So we're out flying the drone. And this drone is pretty awesome. It even has a name, which I like because Mike has a theme. Something you need to know about Mike. Something you need to know about me. We're Star Wars nerds. Mike probably a little more than me, only because he has 3 dogs, all named after Star Wars characters. He had another dog that we've talked about here on the podcast that is now in puppy heaven, chasing birds in heaven. Also a Star Wars name. So naturally, the drone has to have a Star Wars name. So tell us about.
Well, let's start with the dogs first because we have Jaster, Django, and Boba, all Mandalorians. We have Poe Dameron, so it's our English pointer that looks like he's a pilot. So it's Poe Dameron. You can hear him in the background because I'm at my home studio right now. So they're the bug guys here, and they're losing their ever loving minds. So I named my very gray drone with 4 spinning propellers on it, General Grievous. Because that's just what General Grievous looked like. So General Grievous was a Sith Lord. He was mostly mechanical. He spun his lightsabers around, and he had 4 of them. And so it just made sense.
It does. It also makes sense that he's a Sith Lord because he attacked me. Or I leaned in too far. We're a little unsure about this.
So, if you look at the culpability pie, I say it's about half. I think Rob was leaning in for the shot, the toast shot, and I think I was moving in for the toast shot, and it connected with his digit, and blood started spewing everywhere.
And it's I'll hold it up for the camera here. You can't really see it as much now, but it's my middle digit. It cut me 3 times, and it was starting to bleed. It didn't hurt at all. It was just funny. And I was just like, oh, I hope General Grievous is okay. Because General Grievous took a spill after he hit me. Yeah, I was like, ooh. I tried to catch him, but I missed. Because I had a beer can in my hand.
Okay, you didn't spill the beer. That's the most important part. But good thing you're not like Shaq or something. That would have been a long fall for old Grievous there. So it's like we're just a couple of 6-footers. That's easy. So that's a good one there. But then they started bleeding all over your head. We actually didn't know. I don't know if we knew you were bleeding, but you're bleeding on the driveway. And the funny thing about Rob's just like, oh man, I'm so sorry, I'm bleeding on the blood stains on your driveway and this and that. I'm like, those are awesome. Those are fantastic. And I don't mean a spoiler alert here. I've had so many dead animals in my driveway. There's blood on the driveway. It's okay. There's a lot of bird DNA. There's bison blood in there. There's elk blood in there. So, it's good stuff.
So I'm blending right in with
Yeah.
the Russell household life, the DNA of the Russell household, and being a hunter. It's all part of it. Hey, look, hunters with the hunting. Look at this. See, it all's coming together.
Hey, see what we're doing there? Yeah. But this drone thing's cool.
It really
Back
is.
in our day when we, I always wanted a model helicopter, like an RC helicopter. I don't think I ever got one. I think a buddy of mine had one, and it was just awful. It was terrible how to learn how to fly these things. It was absolutely, I could never do it. So when I heard people are buying drones and you can, do a lot of cool footage, I'm like, count me out. There's just no way. There's no way. These things now are so easy. So easy, which bummed intern Beans out because intern Beans has had both a helicopter and a remote control Millennium Falcon.
What?
And she was the only one that could fly them. Like she was a little Jedi with these things that could just fly them. She's like, now this is just easy. It does it for you. There's no thought. There's no skill involved in this. And it really isn't. I mean, obviously there's some skill involved in it, but I mean, you just hit a button that says take off and it pops up 3 feet and just hovers and basically looking at you like, what is your bidding, my master? Pretty much is all it is.
What blew me away, and I've seen them, and we have friends that have them, but actually doing it and watching Mike do it. So he sets it up on his phone. So it's like a remote control. You put your phone on it, you plug your phone in, and you just let it fly, right? So you raise it up, and you put it, like, for example, Mike put it on the sidewalk right out in front of his house. So I'll get back to that in a moment. So it hovers up, and you start flying, and you watch it on your phone, and it's like watching a movie. It's an HD real-time drone footage to your phone, and you're just watching your neighborhood, and you're like, this is absolutely amazing. Watching cars drive by. We flew it over to like a particular spot near Mike's house, and you're flying over this field, and it just
you can say the strip club. It's okay. That's where we went.
Fine.
I mean, we're just finding the creepers out there. No big deal.
Yeah, especially because it was like the middle of the day, like who goes to strip club in the middle of the day?
Yeah. So you can also you can track things. You just put it and say, here, track this thing. And it just tracks it. It doesn't leave its side. It will not leave it until you tell it to stop or it runs out of battery. And that's the crazy part about this whole thing. Just the technology. If you go to our social media page, you'll be able to see the thing just spinning around us. We're just standing there, and it's just holding a pattern of just spinning right around us. It's wild.
And then when you're done, or when it loses signal, or it's past its preset distance, it comes back automatically. Like it flies back and it lands on the exact spot on the sidewalk that you left it from. Not near it, not like 5 feet away. It lives on the exact spot. I was like, wow, this GPS technology is advanced.
Well, you can set it to how many satellites it talks to.
Really?
Really.
Huh.
And that's what blows me away, because I always tell the kids, because the kids get so pissy, and we get that way too. I mean, we get that way. Oh, this will never download. This is taking so long, and oh my gosh, I can't believe this. It's talking to satellites. Relax. Your cell phone is talking to cell towers miles away, talking to satellites. Calm down. Okay. It'll happen. Your T-Swizzle video will download soon enough. Just it's okay. It's on your phone. You literally have a video on your phone that just came from nowhere.
Yep.
And this thing's doing the same stuff. It's awesome. Oh, we ran out of we have external hard drives because we save everything, and we're kind of digital hoarders. And I ran out of space. A whole terabyte was taken in one of my my hard drives. So I was going to separate the Go Show and the Brewmance stuff that I had on there. I dropped one Brewmance file off of that hard drive to the new one that had more data on it than my first laptop.
That's wild.
It was 500 gigs. I'm like, I don't think I had a 500 gig laptop. Like that was like, no way. No, I think it was like a 250 gig laptop. And it was like, whoa, there's no way it could hold that much information. There's not that much information in the whole wide world. Yeah. And now I'll just drag and drop it right over here. It took it 2 hours to do it, but it did it.
Well, and you imagine that 2 hours to download what you have, double the size of your laptop.
Yeah.
And you go back to, like, if you tell your kids, like, you think it's slow now? When you first got on the internet in like 94 or 96, whenever it was that you were able to access the internet, if you tried to download a picture, the quality stunk.
Yep.
And it literally took like 30 minutes to download one photo.
You had to go to like Best Buy or like a Radio Shack or whatever to even look at a laptop. And those things were just beasties, man. Those things were just bricks, like the old brick phones. But hey, here we are. And now we have drones and we can, beat up our family with it.
Exactly.
By the way, in that night too, I ran it into a tree.
Oops.
And I don't know how you do that. This thing has so many sensors on it, but I was just trying to scare my daughter and I didn't care. And I probably was drinking and droning and I knocked it into a tree.
Well, we're drinking.
Probably, I mean, I was.
Yeah. Injuries aside, we're happy to have you with us. In a moment, do you want to live to be 150 years old? If you can drink and drone, maybe. We'll talk about that next year on the Brewmance 550 KFYI.
It is Brewmance on the radio, Arizona's only craft beer radio show. Honest conversations. We have an adventurous life. We celebrate it around the good drink, and we do that with a drink of the week each and every week. We have 2 this week because we're clearing out our beer fridges. Rob, what you got?
I've got Dogfish Head's Slightly Mighty Low-Cal IPA. Slightly Mighty might be the better way to say it, but here it is right here. And Mike, you're drinking something different as we're Operation Clean Out the Beer Fridge. You got what?
Alesmith Brewing Company's Oh So Under. Yeah, the Alvarado Street Brew. I guess it was a collab, and that is a West Coast IPA. So nice. Fantastic there. Yes, I like the black top on these. This is cool.
It does. It's bold. Yeah. It stands out for sure.
Makes me want to drink more, which is whatever. The doctor said I can't do.
Mm-hmm. But that's okay because we're not trying to live to be 150 years old.
Hold on. Like Willie Nelson said, there are more old drunks than there are old doctors, so I guess we better have another round. So very wise advice.
Well, and this is the funny thing about being a human, right? Because everybody is different. So let's just talk about the pandemic for a second. We have this one-size-fits-all approach, and everybody should do this. Well, maybe not, because health is not everybody should do this, because we all know that person, maybe in our family. Maybe it's George Burns, the guy who lived to be about 99 or 100, who smoked cigars every single day. You see occasionally a story of someone who lives to be 106 and like, I drank a Miller Lite every day from 21 to 106. That's why I'm still alive. So, you're like, okay, what's the real secret here? I don't know. But then you bring up the question of longevity. There are now people saying, Mike, human beings could live to be 150 within the next 20 years. That seems to be like a really long time to me.
Yeah, I'm not interested. You can count me out. If there's some regimen you have to go on to make sure you get to 150, I'm good. I really am. I look at probably the first half of my life easily. I've come to grips with the fact that I'm on the second half of this ride, and the first half was so freaking wild. I wouldn't want to go do it any other way. I'm good. That's fine. I've done good to this point. To think that I get another one of those, no. And could you imagine, especially crawling up to 150 as a human race? That's gonna not be too pleasant. I know a lot of people in their 80s, 90s. I'm good. I can't imagine living 50 years after that. No, not for me. Not for me. I'm good. Count me out.
I think the big question for me, Mike, is what am I like? Because I have various longevity on both sides of my family, and I have the opposite, right? So I just had an uncle pass away, which we talked about on Russell and Hunter, my Uncle Fran, 72. So that by modern standards isn't old, but by humanity standards, that's very old. And what sticks out to me about my uncle, he lived the life he wanted to live. Would it have been nice if he had 10, 15 more years? Of course. But unfortunately, that wasn't in the cards for him. But he did the things he wanted to do. So he was a lawyer, ran for Massachusetts state representative office, did that for, I forget, 10 years, something like that, and then became a judge. So he did what he wanted to do. That, I think, is the better mark of living rather than a number of age. So if you can live to be 150 and live the way you want, more power to you. But to go to Mike's point, if we're all worried about climate change and resources, whether it's health resources, planet resources, is it a wise idea when we already have 8 billion people on the planet that 2 billion of them get to live to be 150 at some point? That seems to be likely to stress the system even more.
I think it might be a possibility. I don't think, in the next 20 years, I don't think it's going to be you might see somebody creep up to the 110s, 120s or something like that. Okay. And every time you see this, like the world's oldest so-and-so vet mechanic dog trainer died today, and they show the poor bastard, and he's sitting in a chair, and he's just like shriveled up, and you're like, I don't know. I don't want to know. He's only 103. 150 isn't in the cards. But
I know, right?
but like you said, it comes down to genetics. I have 103 in my family. I have century clubs in my family. And the wild thing is I've known people that hit 90s that smoked like chimneys since they were 15. And one woman I knew smoked like a chimney since she was 15, and she was bulimic her whole life and lived that long.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you have other people that, are just live this healthy lifestyle like my grandfather did. My grandfather was just fit as a fiddle. He's a mechanic. He ran a service station his whole life. And he died at 70, I think. Just got him, just dead. So that, it depends. People are like, oh, well, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this. It's going to cause this, or it's going to kill you this way. I figure life is short.
I
Even
agree.
at 150.
Well, that's true. Like in the grand scheme of things, whatever our lifespan ends up being for each of us as individuals, in the grand scheme of time and universe, it's a blip. But that's why it gets back to, don't think about the age. Think about how you're living now in this moment. And if you're not doing what you want to do, something you're not passionate about, can you make a transition? Because none of us can really predict when it's going to be. Whether you get sick, whether you get in a car accident, whether you live to be 110 just on your own, living the normal life. Because I really do think that there's such a happiness component to it, not only for your mind, but I think for your body as well. I think if you're happier, you might sleep better. And sleeping is the body's regeneration process. We downplay the necessity of sleep, but it's the most important thing you can do as a person. And Mike knows I'm someone who struggles with sleep because I'm always go, 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 go. So I'm trying to find a balance now where I can get 7 hours of sleep a night. And the last couple weeks, for the most part, it's been better. And I find that I wake up and I'm like, not as foggy. So maybe this is one of the keys, is just about balance, about your happiness levels, and about living in the now versus I'm trying to be 150. So I'm going to do 87,000 push-ups today and hope that I can do.
Yeah. And you know, the saddest part about people aging is that Willard Scott never hit 100 years old. That Willard Scott could not say that he was on that Smuckers section that they did and wish a happy birthday to 100 years young today to Ida Mae Clampett out in Austin, Texas. This. He never got to do that. But I got to tell you that one of those things changed my whole world. Rob will attest to this. I don't drink when I eat. I don't eat and drink at the same time. Water, coffee, beer, no. I eat a meal, then I can drink after that. I can drink before that. And it was some guy who lived 105 years old and asked, what's the secret? He goes, I don't drink with my meals. And I'll never forget that for some weird reason. And I asked my doctor, and she goes, yeah, it's a good idea. She goes, you don't want to dilute the stomach acid that you got, and then let your body deal with what it deals. She goes, you don't see animals eat and drink at the same time. I'm like, that's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah. So it's just instinctual to not do that. So I really, one of those, I lived to be X amount of years. What was the secret has changed me for the last probably 25 years of my life.
Which is amazing because it's really a simple thing, but drinking and eating is something that we're programmed to do since we're kids because it's part of every meal. You sit down, you have a glass of something, milk, water, orange juice, beer, and you take a bite of your steak. You take a bite of your steak, chew the steak, take your beer, just keep moving on. So it's a habit that if you undo, it actually is beneficial to your body. And if we do end up talking to our doctor on the podcast in the next few weeks or so, she'll probably tell us that. But it gets down to the individuality, right? And that's what I was thinking about is our doctor, which is what's so great about her, treats us as individuals. So versus my GP, general practitioner, he comes in, he puts the thing on the chest, and he does, okay, breathe, and he looks in my ears. He does all the things that you typically do. And then he goes, okay, how you feeling? Okay, cool, see you in a year.
Right.
It's basically that, because he's treating patients in 15 minutes, which our doctor spends a good hour with us.
Yeah.
And you can go down various rabbit holes with her about whatever you want. But it's an
Don't mention
individualized
politics.
Yeah, exactly. It's an individualized treatment plan versus a one-size-fits-all approach. And if you do want to live to be 150, if that's a goal of yours, it's better to do the individualized treatment to spend the money up
Sure.
front rather than at the back end in our disease management healthcare system that we have in America.
Because I don't mean you don't have to get personal, Rob, but if we can edit it out if you don't want to get personal. But I think you had a family member, right, that basically got just financially drained into care, right, into life care.
Oh, yeah, it was my grandmother. So
Yeah.
she had lived to be 95,
Woo.
and she did pretty well until about 93 and a half. She had a heart attack, didn't tell anybody. Her heart was functioning at 25%, and then my dad was like, okay, we got to put you in a home. But that just drained all of her life savings to keep her alive for that year and a half in the home.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, my grandfather had a stroke while he was vacuuming at their place in Sedona, and then came to, got up, finished vacuuming, went, drove down the hill, stopped at Dairy Queen, and then got home and he told my grandmother, he goes, I think I had a stroke. Yeah. Tough as nails. No snowflakes in that generation, man.
No doubt about it.
He's tough as nails.
No doubt about it. Now, let's go from here to rating ourselves based on our looks, because men who did it had a surprising number. We'll tell you about it next here on the Brewmance 550 KFYI. Men were given an opportunity to rate themselves based on how they feel they look, their attractiveness. And men, we gave ourselves low scores. Let's talk about that here on the Brewmance 550 KFYI. My name is Rob Hunter, joined by Mike Russell, also known as Russell and Hunter here on 550 KFYI, Monday through Friday, 4 to 7. This is our show where we crack open a beer and we have open-minded conversations, getting away from politics, but not always. It's like today, we're talking about how we rate ourselves as men. But before we do that, what are you drinking today, Mike?
Alesmith Brewing in Alvarado Street Brewing, thank you, in Los Angeles. The Oh-So Under West Coast IPA, clearing out the beer fridge. And this was a gift from a man, Conor. Appreciate him and appreciate the gift.
Absolutely. Mine came from Mr. Claus. Dogfish Head's Slightly Mighty Low-Cal IPA. We've tried it before. It's pretty good. I'll give you a review here in just a few minutes. Only 95 calories. So, Mike, if I asked you that question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your attractiveness?
I give it a good, maybe a 4.25.
Wow.
Yeah. I seriously have one of probably the lowest body image and appearance images of anyone I know. I don't. This is why it's weird being on a video and doing what we do in the media. I'm like, I don't want to take a picture of myself. It just is who I am. Yeah.
From here up.
Really, it's just who I am, man. How about you?
It's funny. I was trying to
be honest.
I would say a 7. Now, when I was a kid, I would have been more in your territory. I would have been like, God, because, I had acne problems when I was a kid and I was stressed out all the time and I was super shy. So all of those things contributed to it. So now I'm like, I'm a nice even. I give myself a 7, but it's only because of the beard, the beard.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Beard confidence, But the average score,
I'm sorry. Well, hold on a sec. It's the managed and kempt beard. I mean, you have a very shaped beard. Mine is just, this is what grows on my face kind of thing. Yours is very well managed, and it's a look for show.
It is a look. Now, and it's different too, because the long beard is kind of the thing right now for a lot of guys. Like our buddy Justin from Earn Your Booze has got like the big long beard, and I tried that once. And Lady Brewmance,
it looks fantastic, dude. I'm not kidding. You look hard with that thing.
I'll have to see if I can find a picture and post that at some point as a reminiscer.
Or this. We have a hunt in October. How about you do that for the hunt? I want to see you on a hunt looking like that. Like it would be seriously. That's when you go from your 7 to like a 10.5 right there. You're like, I am man. I am attractive, man.
Yeah. And if you think of like a human evolution, before we invented the razor, that's how everybody looked, right? However your body hair grew, and that was it. Yeah. You're like, this is how I look.
There was no manscaping.
No.
And then, by the way, I know I'm the outdoor guy. You manscape. You darn right I'm manscape. How can we as men hope that our women take care of themselves, and we don't do the same.
And that might help the attractiveness score that we give ourselves, right? Your
Okay.
manscaping ability. But
Yeah.
I think this is a bigger issue. The average score a man gave themselves is 5.9.
Mhm.
So that means there was some sevens and there was some like 5-ishes, and they combined to 5.9.
Yeah.
And I think this really is about our self-esteem. I don't know if this was only an American study or a worldwide study, but this is something we don't talk about a lot. Male self-esteem, number one. But there is a guide of attractiveness for men. So we know when it comes to women, and women have body issues because they project women who are like Giselle onto the population. You go into the grocery store, at least you used to, all the magazine covers, they're perfectly fit, beautiful as can be, 12 out of 10s. So women and young girls are comparing themselves to that. Well, we have that standard too. You know the actor Henry Cavill played Superman.
Oh yeah, I think he's gonna be the new Bond, isn't he?
He might be.
I think so.
So he's in a bunch of movies. That dude is straight up handsome. He's
pretty.
the 12 out of 10.
Yeah.
But the typical male look that we gravitate towards as far as attractiveness is remember Dean Cain too?
Yeah.
Dark hair, chiseled body. We do the same thing. We just don't really talk about it as much. We compare ourselves as men, young men, to guys that have six packs and ripped muscles. So based on that, we think that that's a 10 because society says that's a 10. So Mike and I may be comparing ourselves to Henry Cavill, which is just impossible.
Yeah, here's the deal. This is what I've landed on essentially at 46 years young. This is what I landed on because I'm gonna live to be 150. You should catch that in the previous segment. I've landed on I'm going to try to feel my best and have my body perform at a level that it needs to at my age and for what I do and what I want to do. And what that lands me as far as looks are concerned, that is where I will be. I don't want to move. I don't want a six pack because I don't need abs that strong. I don't need biceps that are as big as my thighs because I don't do anything like that. So it's more of a need. I'm not and Rob will attest to this, I'm not a look at me kind of dude. So I don't have that gene. And there are several people that have that gene and they end up with, giant pecs and arms and six packs because that's important to them. To me, what's important at 46 is just feeling how I want to and being able to do the things that I want to do.
See, I love that in a time aspect. My goal for 2022 is to get a better grip on my time, to do things that are more fulfilling. And that is not spending 2 hours in the gym every day. I wish I could. If I was retired right now and a multimillionaire, maybe I would do that, but I'm not. And what's fulfilling to me is ultimately relationships. In fact, Mike and I just had a conversation. We told you earlier in the show that I went over his house on Saturday. I was at Mike's house for 13 hours. And It was me and his family. And it was amazing. I didn't even realize it was 13 hours until I got in the Uber on the way back. I'm like, it's midnight. I got here at 10:47 this morning, and it's midnight. And the only reason I left is because it was midnight.
That's true.
I could have kept going for like another couple of hours without thinking about it. That's fulfilling. Like spending my time that way is way more rewarding to me. And I want to spend time doing things in 2022 and 23, 24 that are rewarding to me because that's the life fulfillment where you're like, man, life is pretty freaking cool. And that's what I want. So when it comes down to the attractiveness score, we should ask the fulfillment score amongst men and see where we're at.
Well, I think it can be an aggregate. I think that there could be, fulfillment, body image, attractiveness and all of that. Then you take that score. But here's the problem though. And this is, I'm not trying to be a cynic, but I think you'd land in the fives again. I think it's a man thing. I think that it's tough. I look at my son who's, just could eat anything in the world like his dad when I was that age. And it's like, I can do everything. I would go to McDonald's for lunch and order a Big Mac supersized value meal with an extra Big Mac daily. I would eat a pizza a day. It just, and I think a lot of the 5.5s and those lower scores come from, I used to be fit. I used to have 3% body fat. I used to be able to do this instead of, hey, I look all right for a dad. Like, okay, I'm not bad. Been married 20 years and here I am. Okay, pretty good. But once again, I don't have that gene. I just
Yeah.
don't. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point, right? Because I saw a recent picture of my old self when I was like 17 or something like that. And I was all rail thin and I was running cross country and track, not much body fat on me. But that's also the benefit of being 17. It's not
Yeah.
it's not fair to compare yourself to a developing body versus whatever age you're at now,
Right.
because it might bring those self-esteem issues up for you. Where you're like, oh
Sure.
man, I'm not the person I used to be. But life is different. You have different responsibilities. Like I used to I'd run 6-7 miles every day or speed workouts. So it's naturally easier at 17 to have 5%, 6%, 7% body fat than
Yeah.
at 40 whatever with 20 or 16 or 25% body fat.
Right. And right now I just like it's the opposite of that. Was it a Stone Temple Pilot song where it said I'm half the man I used to be? I'm
Yeah.
twice the man I used to be.
But mentally and
I've bulked
body
up.
wise, right? Like, okay, what comes with it comes with it.
Let me tell you, this is straight open book here. This is full disclosure. We're doing a bathroom remodel, and I have only one master bathroom remodel request. Is that when I get in the shower, I can't see myself. Like,
No
like
mirrors.
I can't catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror or something like that. I want to be on lockdown. I just don't like it. So when I heard the image, the average score for men in attractiveness was in the fives, totally understood that. Totally got it. Yeah, it didn't
Yep.
surprise me at all. But I don't think it weighs men down. Because I don't really go around the day thinking, man, I really wish I looked better. Yeah, I just know how I look. I know how I feel about how I look. I give it a score. It scores in my mind, but I'm not like, oh, I wish I was a 10. I'm gonna take pictures of myself all day. I'm gonna go to the gym and take pictures of
And I'm
myself.
never going to drink a beer again until I get a
Oh,
six pack, and I'm only going to eat avocados and salad.
please. Ooh, I take avocados all day.
I'll eat some avocados.
My
Not
boy
5.
Slavo, if you go to slavosalt.com, put in the code word brew, you get 15% off. He put this whole 30 recipe up on the site. It's got these breakfast avocados. I'm in.
They look delicious.
They look delicious.
So I'm in too. In a moment, from there to people many consider to be a 10. Celebrities getting in the craft beer game. Is this something we should welcome or reject? We'll discuss next, right here on the Brewmance 550 KFYI.
Maybe celebrities should just stay out of, I don't know, everyone else's bubble. This is the Brewmance on the radio, having honest conversations, having a lot of fun conversations today, and it's always around a wonderful drink. Rob, what you got, bud?
I've got Dogfish Head's Slightly Mighty Low-Cal IPA checking in at 95 calories. I've tried it before, but we'll rate and review it for you in just a moment. Mike, you've got something different because this is Operation Clean Out the Beer Fridge Week.
It is a collaboration series. This is between Alesmith and Alvarado Street Brewing. Oso Under. Oso, see, California, that's the bear. Oso is bear in Espanol.
Hey.
So, see, this is a West Coast IPA. We'll review that for you in just moments. We got a notification earlier in the week that Troy Aikman of Fox NFL Sunday fame, and I don't know, I guess he was a quarterback for some
won a couple Super Bowls
team
here or there. Yeah.
One of the goats, one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen, is now getting into the beer industry, and his claim is he is going to take on the bigs. He is going to take on the Anheuser-Busch's, the ABN Bevs, and he's going to rock this world. And it kind of got me thinking, do celebrities and athletes really need to keep putting their nose into what they're not experts at? And I say, yes, it's time for them to stop doing that. I wish you all the best, Troy. I really do. And hopefully we can get you on the podcast to talk about it. But Yana Brewer, I don't know if you know much about the craft beer industry. You know a lot about football. You know a lot about the car dealership industry because that's your one of your big income revenue generators in Texas. But I don't know about beer so much.
See, this is very intriguing to me because I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, because I take it as a sign of success in the craft beer industry. So the fact that Aikman's coming here and Darrell Waltrip's another one that's opening a brewery here, it says to me that, number one, here in the valley where we live in Arizona, there's room to grow. So they've done their business assessments and they said, okay, this is a place that's growing fast. Like I don't know, Phoenix itself is the 5th most populated city in America right now. So you've got, I don't know how many breweries in the valley, 70 something. So they've done their business assessments and okay, there's room to grow. And some of them are coming up by me, which there's a big hole in the craft beer universe around where I live in North Phoenix. So they're picking, I think Waltrip's going to be up by a couple of other breweries that are coming in, Front Porch and Simple Machine.
Oh, cool.
So there's going to be some competition up there. And that's what I'm curious to see, because the unfair advantage that celebrities have is name recognition. They don't have to market the way a Front Porch would or a Simple Machine would, because nobody knows who they are. Nobody knows the brewers. They're not first name basis with anybody. So I'm curious to see how we as craft beer drinkers respond to that, because typically craft beer drinkers like the variety, like our local people making beer for us.
Right.
So the question to me is, who's gravitating towards Troy Aikman's brewery? Is it Budweiser drinkers or is it craft beer drinkers?
But I think that's what you're going to Darryl Waltrip. I think that's it. If I see Darryl Waltrip on a can, I expect it to be a Budweiser. I expect it to be a Coors. And that's not knocking anyone. It just, that's the name. I would say the name tie-in with NASCAR, because if you go to a NASCAR event, are you expecting a craft beer garden? Probably not. Are you expecting just normal domestics? Maybe they got one local beer on tap and okay, cool. That's and nothing wrong with that. That's just the way it is. So for him to have a craft brewery, I still haven't made the tie. And hopefully we can get him on to talk about it, because I want to know the tie. Maybe the guy's been a garage beer brewer his whole life. I have no idea, but that name itself doesn't say craft beer.
Yeah, or is he just going to hire a brewer to do all the work and he puts his name on the can? You know, it's like a franchise, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine too, because that master brewer may be phenomenal.
Right.
And I think that's what is ultimately going to do the talking, the beer, the quality of the beer. Because I do think Phoenix, Arizona, the Valley, Arizona, the state of Arizona has some real good quality beers. And I'll use this example. So here's what I would say to brewers right now, because a lot of them are brewers becoming business owners. We had a conversation with Brian Helton of Helton Brewing just a couple of weeks ago about that. And we've had several conversations with him about that. So you have that part of the conversation. And then you have new people coming into the space. So is there room to grow for the craft beer space? Probably so. But if you are a brewer right now, the competition is coming. So you're going to have to innovate. You're going to have to come up with new concepts, new beers, to try to draw more people in. Because I think I'll use Beaver Street up in Flagstaff as an example. Now, when I first came to Arizona, went up to Flagstaff, went to Beaver Street Brewing. And I think everybody does that, right? First trip to Flagstaff, craft brewery, because it was really the only game in town back in 08.
Mm-hmm.
And Lumberyard may have been there too. I can't remember. But what I think happened to Beaver Street, they haven't really, to my knowledge, changed their beers. And I may be completely off on this, but there's now so many options. There's Dark Sky. There's Historic. There's Wanderlust. You know, there's Hops on Birch, which has a bunch of different craft beers for you. So
there's Mother Road.
Yeah, there's Mother Road. Exactly. One of our favorites. So there's so many good places to go in Flagstaff. I think Beaver Street didn't innovate or change. And I think their sales numbers probably disagree with this, but I don't go there anymore because I have so many other options.
Yeah, but you go to Beaver Street at least knowing it's a craft brewery.
Yeah,
I don't look at Darryl Waltrip and think craft brew. I don't look at Troy Aikman and think craft brew. But at the same time, now that we know through just our jobs in the media, there are a lot of people that think Jay-Z owned the Nets.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of people that think that Magic Johnson owns the Dodgers and the Lakers. Mm-hmm. No. Part of an investment group and a front man to do that. So I'm like, is it really Darryl Waltrip's beer? Is it really Troy Aikman's beer? Is it Troy Aikman have a passion for this industry? Or does he just see it as a money-making opportunity? I'm going to think it's the latter. I'm going to assume it's the latter because I know nothing else. I've never heard Troy Aikman talk about beer on any of his NFL broadcasts. Not once.
Or ever. I don't know if I've ever heard him talk about beer.
Remember when was it Peyton Manning? Remember at the Super Bowl, he's like, I'm sure going to drink a lot of Budweiser.
Yeah,
What are you doing? Exactly. Sure going to drink a lot of Budweiser. And Budweiser is tweeting at this time going, we didn't pay him to do that. We don't know why he's doing that. Come to find out, he bought all of the distributing in Colorado for Budweiser.
That guy's smart because he owns like Papa John's or something too. He's all in.
It was something amazing. Like they did, Adweek did a generator how much money in advertising him saying that 2 or 3 times after the Super Bowl wasn't. It was something like $12 million in advertising, $1.2 million in advertising, something like that, and it was all free. Just because he said it. Everyone was confused by him saying it, so everyone was talking about him saying it and saying Budweiser, 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 Budweiser. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And then if Peyton Manning drinks Budweiser, you're cool if you drink Budweiser. That's Peyton Manning saying he drinks your beer. So that's amazing. I'll use Trump as an example. So a lot of people, are freaking out, oh, Donald Trump, whatever. But what Donald Trump did, he basically sold his naming rights to a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. So it was Trump University, it was Trump Tower, it was Trump this. A lot of that was just whoever built the hotel, for example, paying Donald Trump whatever the proceeds, like stadium naming rights, to put the Trump name on the hotel. So I'm guessing, again, just like you, Mike, it's a guess that Aikman and Waltrip are doing that too, because the name recognition alone will bring people into the door.
Right. It's like, celebrity naming rights. So celebrity clothing line. That celebrity had nothing to do with the clothing line. They just paid that celebrity to put their name on that clothing line. It's just, come on. It is what it is. That's the weird part of the free market system that we have, the capitalist system that we do. But I'm not going to go get a beer because it has an 8 on it. It's not even my favorite number. If it had a 3, I might go grab it.
See, we'll see. I'll try it out and go from there. But
what's your favorite number, Robert?
12.
Oh, now I don't stop it. Here
well,
we
actually,
go.
It predates Brady.
Really?
John Stockton and Ellis Burks from the Boston Red Sox.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I did not know that.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
I apologize. I rescind that eye roll I just gave you then, because I thought we were going to get into it.
It just so happened that Brady became 12 too, and I'm like, I already love number 12. This is great. Let's rate and review these beers before we get out of here. So, Mike, you go first. You've got the one we haven't tried before. What do you think?
Alesmith Brewing and Alvarado Street Brewing. Also under is a West Coast IPA, and I got to tell you, this is the most West Coast of West Coast IPAs I've had in a hot minute. I always talk about I want an IPA to split my tongue. I want a hoppy. I wanted this thing badass, and that's really what West Coast IPAs are. It's just it's almost darn near over hopped, which is impossible for me. This thing nails it. This thing is, but it has that sweet, it has that smoothness, got that good balance. I'm not kidding. For a collaboration, this is one of the best collaborations I've had. 9.5. Woo-hoo-hoo. That's how good this dang beer is. It's fantastic.
Good job, Coner.
Yeah, if you're a hophead, get on this quick.
And if you are like us and trying to reduce your intake, the Dogfish Head Slightly Mighty Low Cal IPA is a really good offering for 95 calories because it does have flavor. It does taste a little light, but it's still pretty good. So if you wanted to drink a couple of them, 3, 4, you definitely can. And it's a low ABV too. So I'm going to hook you up in the low cal section. I'm going to give you an 8.5, Dogfish Head. I don't remember if that's the score I gave you before, but whatever. I can change my mind.
Palates develop. Yeah. Palates evolve.
Exactly
right.
That's all
good, man.
We got to get out of here until next Saturday night, 6 p.m. right here on 550 KFY or wherever you get your podcast. Just look for the Brewmance. I'm Rob Hunter. He's Mike Russell.
Cheers, everybody.